ओम सर्व वेदांत सिद्धांत गोचरम तम गोचरम गोविंदम परमानंदम सद्गुरुं प्रणतोस्म्यहम्. We're trying to study Sri Shankaracharya's Viveka Chudamani, and on the last occasion we have studied up to Shloka 107. The context is that it has been presented as a dialogue between the Shishya and the Guru, and the Shishya being burnt by the forest fire of this sansar, feeling that burning, he has gone to the Guru, and Guru has given him assurance and said that I will show you the way on which many people have gone. And then he tells about certain matters to which the Shishya responds with questions. What is this, and what is this? The last of the question is how to discriminate between the real self and the non-self. That question the Guru takes up first. And now, in our practical life, we find that discrimination always starts from the outside or gross material to find that it is not Atman. And then that discrimination sends us inside and we feel our subtler personality called the subtle body or Linga Sharira. And there again, we apply the same discrimination that sends us still inside. And then we have to find the root of this delusion or non-discrimination or the root power due to which this subtle body and the gross body were being confused for this self. So that is the topic to be taken up today. First, we were shown the discrimination with the gross body, and then on the last occasion, we have seen the discrimination with the subtle body or Linga Sharira, personality of ours. Now, we read Shloka 108. अव्यक्त नामनी परमेश शक्ति अनादि अविद्या त्रिगुणात्मिका परा कार्यानुमेया सुदीयैव माया यया जगत सर्वमिदं प्रसूयते. Three names have been given here for the same Shakti. Avyakta Namni, four names are there. Avyakta Namni, the power of which the name is Avyakta. That means not manifested. We do not see it, that is the meaning. Paramesha Shakti, it is the power of the Supreme Lord. Anadi Avidya, from our side we see it is wrong knowledge on our part, and when it has started in our life, we do not know, we cannot know, because the very concept of time starts only when this avidya takes place. They were born together. If we could have conceived the Brahman or Atman, where there is no time, time depends upon change, and in the changeless reality, there is no time. The very concept of time depends upon changes which we observe, and changes occur in the apparent reality, not in the absolute reality. So this apparent reality and time, they are born together. And so, from our point of view, this avidya or wrong knowledge becomes anadi, without a beginning in time. So we feel it is as if coming from, from nothing. It is going on always. Always it is present. So that is from our side. Avidya, Anadi Avidya. And it has a quality. It functions in our life in three different ways. Trigunatmika, guna here is not qualities. Guna is the characteristics. Guna is the very constituents. Guna is the very way in which this wrong knowledge functions. Guna also means, guna has two meanings normally. Guna means quality. The other meaning of guna is a thread. And if we take three threads and interwove them, then it becomes a stouter twine which binds us. So, Trigunatmika means of three strands. Also, Trigunatmika means three functions, three types of functions of that power, which is not seen by us, which is in the form of wrong knowledge, eternal wrong knowledge. Eternal in the sense without a beginning. But if we know the nature of the Lord, then it is not there at all. So it is not Ananta. It is Ananta in the way, till we know the Lord, it will go on. Even when we know the Lord, there are some others who are deluded by the wrong knowledge, so it goes on. But it is without the beginning, and it functions in our life in three different ways. They are known as, he will describe them further, but the very mention tells us that Sattva, Raja, Tama are the three ways in which this wrong knowledge functions in us. Before proceeding, let me describe Sattva, Raja, Tama. We need not jump into Sankhya for the analysis of Sattva, Guna, Raja, Tama. From Vedantic point of view, let us understand what is the Sattva, Raja, Tama. Sattva, the meaning of Sattva is the characteristics of existence. The real nature of existence is Sattva. Sat means existence, Tva means the characteristics of, or the real nature of. Now, there are two types of Sattva. What are the two types? Brahman is eternally existing. It is difficult to say so. Brahma is the eternal existence. So, Nitya Sattva, Bhagavan tells in the Gita. So, this Nitya Sattva or pure Sattva sometimes it is called, that is the very characteristics of Brahman. There is no question of Trigunas there. Brahman is called as Trigunatita and also Nitya Sattva. So, the Sattva is not a particular characteristic there. Sattva means the quality of existence. So that is the eternal existence. Now, when we have wrong knowledge, we appear to be separately existing. So that is called the Malina Sattva or the apparent Sattva which is with us. Please understand this difference. Brahman is called as Trigunatita, also it is called as Nitya Sattva. So that Sattva meaning is different. In our case, as Acharya is describing here, Anadi Avidya is there, and this Avidya is functioning in three ways. The first function is our separate existence. So that is called Malina Sattva, dirty Sattva, impure Sattva, relative Sattva, our separate existence. Now, if our existence is separate from Brahman, if our existence is separate from others, then it must have some specification. It must have something to separate. For example, If my means in wrong knowledge, the height of my body is say 5.5 feet. Others are less or more than me. My eyes, nose, ears appear in a particular way. Others appear in a different way. I play, jump in a different way. Others do it in a different way. So sattva in our case means having some specification. This specification can also be called coloring. There is a coloring body. Coloring need not mean white, black, yellow. Coloring is specification, particular characteristics. So how can my existence be different from Brahman or different from other people? Only by some particular specific characteristics. So this is called the coloring. Ranjeti titi rajaha. Ranjeti titi rajaha. So that which colors is called rajogun. As soon as there is Mali, I am trying to explain from one thing. Vedanta believes in one thing only, not three separate things. So how this one thing becomes three to play in our life. Trigunatmika. How it becomes three, that I am trying to explain. First of all, it is not Lord's Sattva, it is a Malina Sattva, it is a colored Sattva, and this coloring is called Rajogun. Normally, by Rajogun we mean, if you have to describe, eulogize, then we say dynamism. And if you have to condemn, we say restlessness. So whether it is dynamism or restlessness, it is due to the coloring of the mind. And this coloring generally takes place as a subject dealing with objects. And so I like this, I do not like that. I am like this, you are different. So I am like this and I like this. These two are the expressions of the coloring of the personality. As soon as there is a separate or malina sattva, essentially in that personality, there are some specifications of the personality and likes and dislikes take place. So both sides, I am like this and I like this. I am not like this, I do not like that. So this is called Rajoguna. Sometimes the Sattva is described as white because all colors are mixed there. There is no separation. And Rajoguna is described usually as red because it is coloring. Now, suppose, suppose means every day we see the Rajogun increases. There is a transparent glass piece. It is Sattvagun. Now there is a colored glass piece. It is becomes translucent. Instead of transparent, it becomes translucent. That means I do not see that much clearly. And whatever I see becomes colored by the color of my glass. This is Rajogun. Now suppose it becomes more and more dense. Suppose it becomes very, very dense. Is it not same as black? Whether it is deep red or deep blue or deep yellow or deep green, when the color is very deep, the glass becomes opaque. I cannot see because it is almost a black, dark. We generally use dark and black as synonyms. So this coloring, when it becomes dark, it is tamagun. Tamagun is defined as inertia. The best definition of tamagun is inertia. You know, in physics, in the laws of motion, a body continues to be at rest or a fixed motion along a straight line till it is impelled by outside forces. This is inertia. And when the outside forces impel it, it becomes active. So this Rajogun, when heightened, becomes Tamogun, though the appearance is different. Rajogun appears as dynamism or restlessness. Tamogun appears as not, I do not want to change. See in how many ways Tamogun appears. I am a Vaishnava. I don't want to know anything other than Vaishnavism. This is Tamogun. Even the other side, I am a Vedanti. Please don't talk of any other thing. This is inertia. I am unlettered person. I don't want to learn. This is inertia. I don't want to change my habits, though they may be good or bad. That is inertia. So, Tamogun means darkness. Tamogun means andhakar. Tamogun means blackness. Tamogun means inertia, basically. Now, in appearance, it appears like Sattvagun sometimes. Because Sattvagun is balanced, poised, not restless. Rajogun, because of some coloring, it is dynamic or restless. And when it increases, a man cannot work. So many examples are there of Tamogun. Two friends are lying together below a tree, and a mango has fallen near one of them. And he is telling his friend, please leave that mango and put in my mouth. This is Tamogun. Refusal to make an effort is Tamogun. Tamogun appears like Sattvagun because in Sattvagun there is no activity because it is balanced, it is pure, it is reflecting God to the extent possible. And Rajogun makes it dynamic or restless. And if Rajogun increases too much, it again stupefies the man. This stupefaction, stupidity, they are all Tamogun. So many times what happens, Tamogun appears similar to Sattvagun, though it is, according to Swami Vivekananda, two extremes look alike. So Tamogun is heightened Rajogun, but it appears like Sattvagun. I think I am able to explain to you these three gunas, not according to Sankhya, but according to the Vedantic idea of oneness. This oneness, due to my wrong knowledge, becomes separate. I am separate, and as soon as I am separate, there are my characteristics, and when the characteristics become extreme, I become loath to any change. So, Sattvara is the way in which both Sattva is a way in which the Maya or Avidya functions because it is not reflecting the purest Brahman. It is a separate idea, separate existence. So, this is the Trigunatmika Para. Para means beyond our range of vision. Firstly, has already said Avyakta, and now he says it is Para. That means it is supreme or beyond. This power is supreme or beyond. It is at the root of all our functionings of avidya. So it is Para. It is at the root of these three gunas, so it is superior to the three gunas. And then one more name, and that is Maya. The word Maya originally means magic of the magician. That is the original meaning of the word Maya. What is the magic and who is the magician? The Lord, which is not different from our real self, is the magician. And he appears through infinite names and forms, appears, and we take it to be real. So, a magician deludes us. There are several examples. One old example which I heard from my Guruji, let me quote. There was a famous magician in Calcutta, P.C. Sarkar. There is a famous P.C. Sarkar. I am talking of his father, who was also P.C. Sarkar. So once it was declared that at 10 o'clock on a particular Sunday, he would be performing in the Star Theatre in Calcutta because he was so famous. So from morning, early morning, people have gathered. By 8 or 9, the hall is already filled up. And 10 o'clock has passed. People are very eager. 10:30, 11, 11:30. There is no trace of P.C. Sarkar. And all people are extremely about to become restless. But somehow, in expectations of seeing some magic, they are sitting. He enters at 12 o'clock. And as soon as he enters, he raises his wrist as if to see in his wristwatch and says, "Oh, exactly 10 o'clock I have come." Everybody raises their wrist and looks in their watch and say, "Yes, yes, yes." Though they were seeing 10:15, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 11:45. But when he says, "Exactly I came in at 10 o'clock," all of them say yes. And then he said, "This was my first trick. Now I'll show you my more tricks." So this is how the magicians delude us. So it is called Maya. Then the Lord, through his Avyakta, Trigunatmika or Avidya or whatever it is, appears through infinite names and forms, and we see horse and buffalo and man and furniture and palaces, ACs and what not, forest and hills and dales, and though all is nothing but Brahman. So, like a magic, we become deluded, so it is called Maya. So, how many names we have got? One of them is from our side, Avidya. Avidya is wrong knowledge. That means the things we see, that is not wrong. But we take those things to be real, that is wrong. Things are appearances of Brahman, appearances of our own real nature, appearances of God, whatever you like to call him, Ishwar. And we take them to be separately real. We are not aware that it is the Satchidananda which is appearing. We are not aware of Chit in us or in objects. So we see only the names and forms, and we take those names and forms to be real separately. So it is called Maya. So now we understand we are trying to discriminate. By discrimination with the gross body, we have gone inside. By discrimination with the subtle body, we have come still inside and we find this phenomena. So we have to discriminate at this point and then karya numeya. It is avyakta, it is wrong knowledge, it is magic. How do we know that? How do we know something which is not manifested? How do we know that our knowledge is wrong? How do we know that it is a magic? Karya numeya. By seeing its product, by seeing its result only. So it is not something directly pratyaksha we cannot see. We can infer it by seeing its product. What is its product? Taking unreal things to be real. Taking the names and forms to be separately real, though they are all Brahman. And this we can, through discrimination, find out, as we have been doing up till now, that all things are nothing but Brahman in appearance, and we are taking them to be separately real. This is the Karya. We take names and forms to be real, which is a Karya. And so, Karya Numeya, through that Karya, we can infer that there is some power behind it which is making us deluded. There is some power behind it which makes Brahman to be different than what it really is. There is some power which is giving us wrong knowledge. There is some power which we do not see. The name is Avyakta, and it is the power of the Lord. It is not different from the Lord, but it is a power. And the power is to manifesting Brahman through names and forms. Here, one small observation I may make, that some people think that Shankar did not accept Shakti, he is directly calling this as Shakti. And Paramesha Shakti is telling, according to the Shata Upanishad third mantra, Devatma Shakti, that he is using the word here. So he accepts Shakti, only that in his literature we do not find sufficient emphasis on it. So difference is only about the emphasis. He accepts Shakti. He is telling that there is a power of the Supreme Lord to show us magic light, and by which we are deluded. And it works in our life in three different ways. We feel we are separate. That itself is sattva, appearance. And we want this, we want that. I am like this, I am like that. So that is the function of the Rajagun. We become dynamic or restless. And then we want to sleep. And then we want to not do anything. And we do not want to exert. We do not want to change that inertia. So in these three ways it is functioning so beautifully now to discriminate at the very root. Shankar is taking us. And then, so it is Karyanamaya Sudhiya. Who can do this? Why all people do not do this? Who can do this? People with purer mind only can find out. People who are too much deluded, they cannot find out. They cannot find it is delusion. Maybe very big people, maybe so-called big philosophers. I remember one, well, I should not take the name, one big person trying to provoke me more than once, saying that such a big world, such a big world, only for the, I remember the sentence, such a big world, only for the sake of logical congruity, Shankar denies. Such a big world, but he has to accept that without doing that, we cannot have logical congruity. Such a big world, only for the sake of logical congruity, Shankar denies. I did not speak a word. I understood his provocation. And we do not require Shankar for that, let me tell you. Such a big world, as already explained by Shankaracharya, we see in the dream also. One friend of mine, coming back from America after 7 or 8 years, I was in Nagpur, and on the field, a brick was lying, and he kicked it and said, "This is also Maya. This is the delusion Maya has produced." In dream also you can kick a brick like that, and that is Maya. So, Sudhiya eva anumeya Maya. While describing Maya, Shankar says, those whose brains have not been spoiled, those whose minds are relatively pure, those whose minds or buddhis are good, they only Sudhya eva, they only can infer from the products. When the mind is purer, we feel there is a God, and then we understand that this world is an appearance, and from the appearance of the world, we infer there is a power. All this is possible when the mind is relatively pure. So, Karyanumeya, Sudhya eva Maya, Yaya, now Karya is telling, Jagat Sarvamidam Prasuyate. Prasuyate. The whole world is born. Whole world is born. Brahman appears through names and forms, but this Maya makes us believe that there is actually world coming out of Brahman. When we say world has come out of Brahman, we make a huge mistake. If Brahman we understand as all-pervading reality, how can anything go outside it? How can anything go outside Brahman? If Brahman is one without a second, how can there be anything inside it? So other than appearance, it cannot be anything, neither inside nor outside. But we are deluded. We think it has come out of Brahman. We think that inside Brahman there is a difference. So that is called Sarvamidam Jagat. Jagat means that which goes away. Gacchati iti Jagat. That which is passing show. All this, Sarvam Idam, all this, whatever we see, feel, touch, hear, imagine, all that, has been born by that power, through that power. With the help of that power, Brahman appears through infinite names and forms. That is his power, and that has given rise to the birth of this universe. Though there is nothing in Brahman, we see the universe. From this Karya, the good people infer that there is a power in Brahman which has made it appear like this. So, one shloka has taken us so much time today because we have gone very deep now and we must understand every word. Then only we can proceed. Now, he's trying to explain that power to us. What is that power? It is not seen. What is that power? It is like magic. What is that power? It is power of God. What is that power in our case? It is wrong knowledge. It functions in three ways. Now we are trying to analyze further what that power is, how it functions. Sannapya sannapya ubhayatmikano, bhinnapya bhinnapya ubhayatmikano, sangapya nanga ubhayatmikano, mahadbhuta nirvachaniya rupa. Whether it is whether it exists, whether it does not exist, whether it is of a combined form of existence and non-existence, we cannot understand. Let us take up this line first. If we say Maya exists, then it has to be separately real than Brahman. Other than Brahman, nothing exists. So how can Maya, even the power of Brahman, how can it separately exist? So we cannot say that it exists. But if we say it does not exist, how are we deluded? Karyanumeya Sudhya eva Maya. So, seeing its function, we cannot say that it does not exist. Now here, one fundamental problem of philosophy comes in that we do not exhaust the whole phenomena by dividing into two categories. Exist, something either exists or does not exist. There can be something which neither exists nor does not exist. We are not aware of that. Maya is like that. The power is like that. It is never seen. It is impossible to say it exists because it is not other than Brahman. It is impossible to say that it does not exist because it has produced the wrong knowledge in us. Then it is something which is a mixture of existence and non-existence. Existence is opposite to non-existence. They can never be mixed at all. So neither it is existence. It is not some contradiction. Please understand. It is not any existence because nothing can exist other than Brahman. It is not non-existence because we see its effect in our life. It is not a mixture of existence and non-existence because these two are contradictory terms, they can never be combined. Bhinnapi, abhinnapi, ubhayatmika, no. Bhinna means separate than God. It is God's power we have seen. And God's power, how can it be? It is not that God is there and his power is there. That may be true of the kings or presidents or people with physical power. If their hand breaks, all their physical power is gone. So a king is there, his kingdom is lost. A president is there, he is defeated in the elections. So a power which is different from the person who holds it may be true in the relative world, but in Brahman this is not possible. Brahman appears as names and forms, and this we call power. So how can it have a separate existence other than Brahman? Then it is identical with Brahman. Then Brahman changes. If the power is identical with Brahman, then Brahman changes into names and forms. So it is neither separate from him nor identical with him. Vinnapi, abhinnapi. It is neither a mixture of separate and non-separate because such contradiction cannot exist. Here the next word is Sangha is wrong. It should be Sang, Sa, Virga. Sangapi Ananga he Ubhayatmika. No. Sangha means with parts. We have seen that Sattva-Rajatama are the three functions of Maya. They are not three parts. This power cannot have parts. And it cannot be partless because it is producing the world which has so many parts. So how can we say it is no parts? That which has no parts, how it is producing the world which has so many parts? So here again, the part and partless should not be thought to be exhaustive categories, and it is not a combination of the two, Vyatmikano Mahadbhuta. So it is a very, very, very wonderful thing because of this type of its nature. Anirvachaniya Rupa. So what is its form? Which cannot be described is the form. Generally, when we think about anything, we try to describe it. Brahman we can never describe. And this power, we can never describe it as exist or not exist or combination, different or non-different or combination, parts or no parts or combination. So we cannot describe its nature. That is its nature. Its nature is such that we cannot describe it. So the power is we are being made aware of that power, which is at the root of all delusions, and that is the nature of that power. But we can understand certain things about that power. And that is what we want, so that we can discriminate. Suddha Dvaya Brahma Vibodhanasya Sarpa Brahmo Rajju Vivekato Yatha Rajastamas Sattvamiti Prasiddha Gunastadiya Pratitei Swakare. When we are deluded, we do not get the awareness, the consciousness, the knowledge of Shuddha Advaya Brahma. Brahman is without a second, and that very thing makes it pure. There cannot be any adulteration into Brahman because there is nothing other than Brahman. So Shuddha Advaya is Brahman, and we should have naturally that consciousness because that is truth. But it has been destroyed in us due to this power of Maya from God, of wrong knowledge from our side. This has destroyed the automatic natural knowledge of Brahman which we should have possessed. So this is one of the functions. Example for this, there is a rope and in semi-darkness it appears as a snake. When it appears as a snake, we have lost the awareness that it is a rope. Yatha means example, Sarpa Brahmo Rajju Vekato Yatha. Rajju Veka has been lost due to the delusion of Sarpa. Similarly, due to this inscrutable power, our Bodha of Brahman, one without a second, has been destroyed. And how we see it in our life, Rajatama Sattva iti prasiddha. It is well known in life as having three functions. So that is the way in which we can recognize it is through the three functions. Gunastadiya, they are its characteristics. Pratitei Swakarya. How to understand these three parts, these three characteristics of Maya, three ways of functioning, by seeing their functions. So by seeing the world which revolves around due to Sattva Rajatama, we understand that Maya is functioning and this much we can understand. And so we can discriminate. If anything is happening in this world due to a combination or function of Sattva, Raja and Tama, then we should understand that the power of the Lord is at the root of this. The power of the Lord is functioning. That is generating wrong knowledge in me, producing this world like a miracle, like a magic. And that is how we can become aware and discriminate between that power functioning in life and the pure nature of Brahman. Now, this power has two types of function. Sattva-rajatama is all right, but there are two ways in which it functions in our life. Tamagun, for example, covers the nature of reality, opaque. From the other side, we are counting. Tamagun covers the nature of reality. This is called Avarani Shakti of that power, the power of covering. And when the real nature is covered, then so many other things appear. That is called Vikshepa. So, Vikshepa Shakti and Avarani Shakti are the two ways in its function. What about the third way? Third way is Sattva, which reflects things correctly. It does not show the thing, it shows the reflection of the thing much more correctly than the Raja and Tama. So the three qualities, one reflects, that also dilutes us. The reflection is seen as real. It is a reflection only. And then some coloring. So that is Vikshepa. And then this at the root is the covering, and that is our Shakti. So these three gunas, how they become two functions is that the third function is a reflection. So now, Vikshepa Shakti Rajasa Kriyatmaka Yata Pravrutti Prasruta Purani Raga Dayo Asya Prabhavanti Nityam Dukkha Dayo Ye Manaso Vikara. Recognize, then we can discriminate how this Vikshepa Shakti or Rajogun functions. Rajasa. Vikshepa Shakti is Rajogun. Vikshepa Shakti is due to coloring, Kriyatmika. And what is its nature? It makes us dynamic or restless. It makes us do some action. That is the very uh, recognition of this power that Rajogun is function. It is of the nature of Kriya. Yata pravritti prasuta purani. From the beginning of creation, from the beginning of this Maya function, people have been working endlessly. The very world comes out due to Ikshapa Shakti. And people in this world, endlessly, beginninglessly, have been active. So, this is how the Ikshapa Shakti functions, from which Yata, Pravrutti, Pravrutti means tendency, the inclination to act. Prasruta has started Purani, ancient, means from the beginning of Maya. Then in life, how to say it? Raga Dayo Asya Prabhavanti Nityam. What is the Ragadi? Raga, Dvesha, Lobha, Moha, etc. Raga Dayo, attachment, coloring, I would say, and opposite of that, we like something, and if it is obstructed, we get angry. That is also its function. So Raga Adi, Dvesha and Raga, both are Nityam Prabhavanti. Every day we see in our life some Raga and some Dvesha. And the result is Dukkhadi. Dukkhadi means sometimes there is a pleasant sensation. Most of the time it is high. No, 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 I did not get it. Chasing the shadows. So dukkha adi means sukha. Sometimes some pleasure sensation, sometimes some painful functions. Both are manaso vikara. Sukha is in the mind. Sukha dukkhas are not in my hand or leg. Huh? Pain may be there, but that pain is experienced in my mind. So discrimination is being taught that through this Vikshepa Shakti, it makes me work, it makes everybody work, it makes the world to be born in the ancient time, it makes everybody inclined to work right from the beginning, and it works through attachment or detachment, rag or dvesha. Every day it is working like that, and the resulting is that in our mind we are happy or miserable. We are miserable or the other, because misery is the main product of it. Sometimes you get a pleasant sensation. Manaso vikara, modifications of the mind, is pleasure and pain. And that is due to, we are told in the Sukshma Sharira, the mind and the indriyas help us to feel pleasure and pain. But the pleasure and pain exist in the mind. And so that is the way in which the Vikshepa Shakti the producing of something else which is not there, of the original Maya Shakti, which is Rajogun, is being described. Some more functions of the Rajogun. Kama, Krodho, Lobha, Dambadi, Asuya, Ahankara, Irsha, Matsaradyastut, Ghora, Dharma ete, Rajasa, Pum Pravrutir, Yasmat Esha, Tad Rajo, Bandha Hetu. How Rajogun binds? It gives desire. And desires are obstructed, we get krodha, and desire is fulfilled, we want more, lobha, and there is ostentation to show more than I have. This is damba, adi, so many other things. Asuya, jealousy. These are all the results of that rajogun, ahankar, ego, egotism, egoistism, irsha, another form of jealousy, matsar. These are three words for jealousy with different shades. Asuya, irsha, matsara. So, envy, jealousy, spite. So, they are described in three different ways. Jealousy, adi, ghora. They are all terrible. They are all terrible. The functioning of Vikshepa Shakti is shown in life to be terrible. Dharma ete, these characteristics, Rajasa, are due to Rajogun. Pravrutti, the very inclination of a man to external life, that is Pravrutti. The very inclination or tendency of a person to go out of himself and do something, that is Pravrutti. Yasmad Esha, because these are the functions of the Rajogun, that Rajo Bandha Hetu. So, that Rajogun is the cause of bondage. It is the cause of bondage because Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Damba, Asuya, Ankara, Isha, Matsaradi, Hora, and Pum Pravrutti, these being the functions of Rajogun, Rajogun is binding. Rajogun binds us. It does not allow us to feel free. And the second is Avarini Shakti. Why Prakshipa Shakti is described first? Because we are going from outside to inside in discrimination. So we see the functions of Vikshepa Shakti first. And so that is described. And when we understand this is Vikshepa Shakti, then we will understand that something is covering it. So it is functioning. So the next taken up will be the Avruti, Avarana Shakti. Better take it up next time. Today, less number of shlokas were done because they were very deep, fundamental. So we have been able to read 108, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, describe Avarani Shakti, which will take up on the next. Om Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tama Gocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmiham Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.